We back. Are you getting your baby oil ready? Okay, I got excited.
You got excited over baby oil?
Bro, you don't think you want to know how much has changed? You ready? Hey, Daddy, you ready? I take your silence as consent.
Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if you see one day that Abba blows up my car because I'm dating his girl. You want to say some wild shit? I'm gonna say some wild shit too.
Okay, so look at what's arriving today. Ooh, the way that dripped down, Daddy, that was crazy. Now, look at what's arriving today. You see that?
You ordered Johnson & Johnson baby oil.
It's arriving today, 2 bottles on special. The Diddler discount.
You're gonna lace it with what?
Nothing. I just want to make sure I'm listening when I gotta act.
For Diddy?
Just saying. My body's ready. Now, with that in mind, Kid Cudi just testified today, and today's testimony was insane. Now, a lot of folks have been keeping up with the trial, but I'm going to keep you apprised of some of the notes that I took that I thought were interesting. Kid Cudi, if you don't remember, the man who made Memories with David Guetta, very popular back in the early 2010s, comes in to testify because at the time, back in the early 2010s, he'd met Cassie. Diddy apparently had sent Cassie to go do recording artists related to work with Cudi, and I guess they started dating through that. She confided in Cudi that Diddy would beat her regularly. They kind of started dating. Diddy found out. Diddy not happy with Cudi. Oh my God, all these names just start
Diddy Cudi Cassie.
Yeah, Diddy Cudi Cassie. And then Diddy beat Cassie, so Cudi felt some type of way about Diddy behavior. Okay, anyways. So Diddy finds out about Cudi and her, and gets upset. He starts losing his mind. He starts making threats. They start to get a little bit worried. And then at one point, while Cudi is comforting Cassie after she's been beaten, essentially he gets a call from one of Diddy's employees saying, hey, and the individual, he's almost at the point of tears. He's like, I'm in front of your house. I'm with some of Diddy's people. At this point, Cudi's like, what the fuck are y'all doing in front of my house? So Cudi returns home and then realizes that these guys who work for Diddy had gone through his place. They had apparently opened some packages that belonged to him. They had moved some furniture stuff, and they had locked his dog inside the bathroom. So Cudi's like, yo, what the fuck is wrong with these people? And Diddy's like, yo, we have to talk. They have a conversation. It's a bit contentious, and from what I understand, they kind of go their separate ways, but Cudi decides he's going to keep seeing Cassie. I'm going to go backwards a little bit. There's a testimony that happened either from Cassie or her mom where she testified that Diddy had threatened to do something to her and Cudi, but they would never find out it's him because apparently he would say he's out of the country while it was happening. Fast forward to this incident. One day, Cudi gets a call from his gardener while he's out, and he's like, yo, your car's on fire. And Cudi's like, what the fuck? He gets home. Apparently somebody has cut open the top of his porch and threw in a Molotov cocktail. Cudi calls Diddy. They're like, yo, we have to talk. And they kind of have this conversation, and this is one of the funniest fucking lines I've ever seen. He walks into this room where Diddy's supposed to be, right? The security guards in front, and this is what Cudi said. This is the quote. This quote is wild. Sean Combs was standing there staring out the window with his hands behind his back like a Marvel supervillain.
Oh, you've arrived. You must want to know why I asked you here.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
You're about to get it.
Okay, let's
rub some semen in mommy nipples.
let's role play this. You're gonna be Diddy, and I'm gonna go put on a dress and be Cudi. Ready? Jokes. We're not doing that. Moving past that point.
God damn.
All right, Cudi been dressing weird, but God bless him. They have a conversation. And basically Diddy's like, listen, I don't know what you're talking about in regards to the car. It is what it is. They kind of go their separate ways. Shortly afterwards, Cassie decides to return to Diddy and start dating him. Obviously, Cudi feels a little bit betrayed. They go their separate ways. Years later,
they cross each other.
That being Diddy
2015
and Cudi. Mm-hmm. As they're having a conversation, he's like, yo, man, listen, I'm super sorry for what happened back there. And they squash their beef. But Cudi said, listen, I was terrified of Diddy because he was incredibly violent. So once again, a lot of people all corroborating the same thing that Diddy was controlling. He was incredibly violent. He was intimidating. And this is going towards the arson count. Now, in my opinion, they don't actually prove that Diddy engaged in the arson. But that's not necessarily the point. I think when they're trying to give an overview of who this man is, and arson is one of the key factors in proving racketeering. They're
You said you were not going to get them on arson.
Right. Yo, actually, editor, include that in this clip. Because I said, when you look at what it takes to get him on racketeering, out of the 6 or 7 things, he pretty much hits almost all of them except for arson.
Yo, the only thing they're not going to get them on is probably arson. And then boom, bitch.
Right, because you have to remember, in order for them to prove RICO, they only need to hit 2 predicate acts. And one on the list of potential predicate acts was arson. I'm like, yo, he hits almost all of them except for arson.
Boom, bitch.
That's what the card
arson.
did. And I want y'all to think, imagine the psyche of people involved who are dealing with an insane person who is a billionaire, who is capable of blowing up their cars while he's out of the country and face 0 repercussions. You have to also remember, they made police reports at that time, so this is not like this is new. All of this paints this picture of a man who is controlling, incredibly powerful, free of consequences, and you can't run away from him. So Cassie tried to leave him, and this motherfucker blew up the car of the man she was with.
Can I add something?
So when this plays to the control aspect of like whether or not Cassie could leave, why didn't she leave? This is another thing that they're going to use to make that case. Go ahead.
I see some people saying like some things like, yeah, but if everybody knew, because a lot of people knew. I was right here in Canada minding my business and I knew about some of this stuff. Imagine. Had no connection with them whatsoever at that time. So, man, imagine you hear some stuff about Diddler and you want to say something, and he is that powerful. So you come out the woodwork and you say, hey man, I heard you did this, and you call him out. And you do all this rah-rah stuff, and you call him out and you say, he did this, he did that, and all the victims are so scared, they do not want to talk.
Yep.
Now you're defaming. You can't talk for a victim. If you do not have a victim, it's just talk. It's just you saying a whole bunch of shit. You don't have proof of nothing. And guess what's going to happen to you? You're eventually going to become a victim too. So everybody shut up on that. That's the power that he had. He really did.
Yeah, and in those times, a lot of things were much more insulated. Internet wasn't what it is today. People recording everything isn't like what it is today. So now, especially even the climate, that's before Me Too era. So the idea of you coming forth with an allegation at that time did not hold the same merit as it does today.
It did.
Right? Diddy changed a lot of his behavior after 2015 when he saw Harvey Weinstein and a lot of other people start to get convicted for what they was doing. Right? That's when you started seeing a lot of people who were powerful start to get a little bit worried because they're like, whoa, if they took out Harvey and they started cleaning up their shit.
Harvey was big.
Yes. Some other testimonies from today, because I think today's actually one of the most explosive things. The makeup artist, okay? Myla Morales said she had a friend who's a doctor come to the house to check Cassie Ventura out after she saw Ventura with injuries. The doctor examined the injuries onto Cassie's face, her stomach, and her ribs and recommended Ventura go to the emergency room. Ventura refused to go to the emergency room, Morales testified, and they didn't call the police. Morales said that she didn't call the police because she feared Corms and she feared for her life. So, this is, again, adding yet another witness who witnessed a lot of the intimidation, the control, the coercion aspect, and this is going to go to the trafficking aspect. You don't have to believe Cassie, but who are all these 10 other people who all worked for Diddy, who feared for their lives and witnessed him be violent and controlling and threatening? That's going to play. So when they say, why didn't Cassie run away? Why didn't the other 15 people run away? Why did they call the police? Because everybody feared this man and they all had reasons. That's the case.
You know how hard it is to have all these people corroborating with the same story? Everybody's saying the same shit. If you're at that level of an attorney, it's easy to find like, a weakness here, a weakness there. They can't. I'm telling you, Diddy's defense know they're losing this. They know. 100%.
Because their client is so detestable and so evil, and it's not even being contested. One of the craziest testimonies that happened this week was from Cassie Ventura's mother. And the reason why I say that is she gets on the stand and she basically makes Diddy look like the worst person. Because people are going to say, well, Cassie Ventura is just a money-hungry artist or whatever. But her mother was a completely different story. Her mother actually attacked Diddy when he was going after Cassie. She talks about how she punched him and did all this other stuff. So there's a human element of a mother just seeing their kid being abused by somebody and her trying to take actions. Also, when Cassie finally years later went to her mother and said, listen, I'm being hurt by Diddy, her mother took pictures with her Polaroid of those injuries. So you can see these huge bruises all over her body and that she documented. At one point, because of how angry Diddy was about the Cudi relationship, the mother was kind of involved in a second of it. And basically, Diddy does this really weird thing where he's like, you need to give me $20,000 for some of the money I invested in for them to work together. So the mom ends up taking out a loan, fearing for her daughter's life. Why? Because her daughter tells her, I think he might take my life, Mom. He's threatened to put out videos of me on Christmas of me doing prawn. And 2011, 2010 was a time where if you had an X tape that came out about you, it was incredibly damaging to your career. Before Kim Kardashian came on the scene and kind of flipped the script, nobody wanted anything intimate of them on the internet.
As a matter of fact, when the thing with Kim K happened, it was damaging.
Yeah. And Paris Hilton.
Yes, she was able to flip it.
Yes.
But at first it was damaging. Don't think that it was like skyrocket from the time that that came out. No, there was a dip, and then it was about to flip it. They were able to flip it.
All in all these testimonies, they corroborate, right? They have her taking out the loan.
Oh, yeah.
They have her sending the money to Diddy. And you know what Diddy does? A couple days later, he returns the money. So it's just like, why but it's a control.
Yeah,
it's a power move.
It's a power thing. It has nothing to do with, why would Diddy do it if he has so much money? It has nothing to do with the money. It's, yo, you my bitch now. You're gonna do everything that I tell you to do. So give me $20,000 right now. I know you don't have it. Oh, you're gonna just use scrambling to having that money and be like, here's your $20,000. Like,
yes.
I won. You did what I told you to do. And then of course you're gonna return the money after, because the point was not to have the money. The wonderful thing about it was the journey to get it.
Yeah.
That's what the psyche is of those people.
Yeah. So basically, they have this mother who's terrified. She's terrorized by Diddy. She tried attacking him. They basically had all these different incidents that they're now corroborating. One of Cassie's friends was also attacked by Diddy. He put his hands on her. She had also witnessed Cassie in Jamaica get dragged by her hair halfway across the whole spot when she didn't do what Diddy told her to do. All of these witnesses are all helping to paint the trafficking situation. Now, what I thought was the most damning for the defense is, as the mother said everything about this case, and it really was, I think, one of the more powerful testimonies, the defense, like, we don't want to question her. Not offering any kind of counter push to what she's saying in the defense, that the allegations that she's bringing forth. Because at the end of the day, she's just speaking on facts. I took out a loan. I gave it to Diddy. He asked it for this reason. You can't contest that. Why? Because there's bank records. They know it happened. So these are all things that are helping for me to paint this picture of this man. And I personally, again, don't see how he gets off on a good majority of these charges. But I thought today's testimony was crazy. He blew up the motherfucker's car. And he really did move like a supervillain. So all those sketches about him, all those memes, all them jokes, they were all baked in a lot of truth.
The Dave Chappelle's kit of making the band is so much more accurate now, and you have to go watch it.
How y'all gonna choke a legend? You don't think I want to choke people?
But yeah, so that was it for today. I was really looking forward to this trial because the Kid Cudi explosion thing has always been folklore, and it's always been a thing about Diddy did it, but we never heard the actual story from anyone involved until today. And the reason why they never told it was because they were afraid for their lives.
Of course.
That's it. The assistant who works for him, who testified today, did so under an immunity deal. He didn't want to testify. So he wanted to basically plead the fifth, which is like, I don't want to incriminate myself. So what they did is they offered him immunity, so he couldn't say he can't plead the fifth if you have immunity, right? Because you can't incriminate yourself. And he had to tell the truth. So he tells the truth, and he talks about how he witnessed Diddy beat Cassie on a jet plane, and how the security and the staff were all there. Nobody did nothing. Nobody moved.
That cross of George Kaplan, that's getting underway, Julie. And what they're talking about there is he was just so excited to start working for Sean Combs. And so he would start to see all of these things take place. He was on direct describing an incident on a private plane between Sean and Cassie, in which he described Sean as holding up like a rocks glass, and heard Cassie then say, isn't someone seeing this, talking about a beating that was taking place right there in the moment.
So they all watched this stuff unfold and did absolutely nothing about it. What's more, Diddy would give him bags of money, and this guy would have to go, not to just to hold, to go buy things he needed. Some of it was in cash, which I think is interesting. For anything that was illicit or potentially illegal, cash. Everything else was done through the Diddy enterprise. So this is going to be where the RICO's involved. Why? Because he would use the funds to buy supplies to cover up the crimes. So things for wounds and stuff like that he had to buy for Cassie, so she wouldn't be like, look wounded when she left the house, this guy would go and buy for her. So that's where the enterprise comes into place. He used his organization to enable his behavior is essentially what they're going to get at. Yeah, and I think him just testifying to his reasons for leaving, he left because he said, it didn't sit right with me what I was witnessing.
Now, George eventually left because he said he was tired of hiding the domestic violence from everyone.
So even this assistant was also coming out and saying, like, I witnessed, and it was evil. But he also spoke highly of Diddy. He said he was a great boss in other ways. He opened up doors for me, and I still respect how much of a mogul he is. But yeah, it was an interesting testimony hearing all these people who worked for him so long have conflicting feelings about all the crimes they witnessed and how they all kept quiet about it.
Because nobody was gonna say something. So if you're alone talking, you're gonna get all the rap. You're gonna get all the bullshit. I work. Something like that happened to me a couple of times where we were pissed off at management and talking about management. So yeah, this has to change. This has to change. It's crazy. It's really crazy. Yeah, it is. Yeah. And a meeting comes, and then I put up my hand and I'm like, yeah, we think that this and that and that and that, right? Yeah, who else thinks that? Crickets. But I'm the only one fucking complaining, and then boom, management hates me now. And I'm like, what the fuck? I don't know. And after that, you're like, yo, you motherfuckers were talking mad shit. Now you didn't say shit now? And then you're left alone dealing with the consequences. And that's crazy.
Yeah.
You can't be alone talking.
Yeah. And I also want you guys to know, let's say I grant you guys everything and he does not get charged with the RICO, the trafficking, the Mann Act, which again, I think a lot of these are slam dunks, but let's say I agree with you. They're still going to take him to court for all the violence he committed on her over the years.
They're going to take him down, no matter what.
They'll do that, or they'll go for the gun stuff. They always have more stuff that they can do. Now, generally speaking, anything with your wife on a repeated basis over a long period of time, that's going to go to a different court. But it's still something that they can charge him with across different places. There's also state crimes that he committed in different places. Everyone's just letting the feds have their turn. But if that don't work out, a lot of the states are like, you're coming in. They about to run a train on.
That's crazy.
The law is running a train on Diddy.
Everybody's having a turn.
So I just wanted to kind of recap some of the stuff I saw from this week that I thought was wild. And again, I think from all the testimony I've seen, it's I don't think the defense is doing much for me to make these witnesses seem incredible. But even the minor things that he does poke holes into in terms of a defense attorney, it don't really matter because there's so many different people all testifying to the same thing. And as a reasonable person, no one's going to look like all these people are lying about all the elements.
I think they're threatening lightly because if they even step or question people, it might open a whole other can of worm that they don't want. That's why they didn't test that. They didn't bring the mother. We don't even want to talk to her.
I mean, it looks horrible to go against what she's saying.
Yeah. We don't even want to go. Now our whole team looks bad.
Yeah.
So I don't even want to go against her. It's just going to open a whole can of worms that we're not going to deal with. So they know. I
think that the mother was brought in to humanize Cassie. Because a lot of people still see Cassie as like a money-hungry entertainer.
Yeah.
And because they see her as a money-hungry entertainer, now when the mother comes in, you hear about her fighting with Diddy for the safety of her daughter. Now she becomes somebody's kid. And when it plays into the mind of a lot of jurors, like, what if somebody was doing that to my child?
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Do I want this man back on the streets? And so I think that's the emotional aspect that the prosecution.
This case is not a slam dunk. It's a slam dunk with the balls in your face. Yeah. You know when they slam dunk and the two legs are right here and you got the jaw. It's God damn, and you're like this on the reel, the reel at the news. You're really in a 45-degree angle, balls almost in your mouth, and a slam dunk. That's what it is.
But why don't you give me a supervillain exit for this video?
Well, you know what, people.
No, towards the video.
No, my back is turned. Okay. I'm a supervillain.
But towards the audience.
No. You don't understand supervillains, bro.
My bad.
Let me do my thing.
Okay, I'm sorry.
All right. Well, I really hope you enjoyed this video. We will see you next time. Shut up, Cassie! Where?
Hey yo, why'd you blow up my car?
What car?
Is it because I didn't want to lend you my dresses? So, because we couldn't make memories together?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Nigga, I know what you do in your bedroom.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. You make a good villain. That's a good line. All right, that's it for today.